All right, so carrying right along. In that last video, we talked about positioning, which is kind of a difficult concept to sort of grasp until you start playing around with it. But in this one, we're going to use what we just learned about positioning, and we're going to create a footer. And a footer is just a little bar that goes along the bottom of the page that sort of, has copyright information or a link to the developer, whatever you want to put down there. I like to have it locked to the bottom. I like to have it always available or visible. So we're going to use some of the stuff we just learned to create that. In our HTML, we're going to go down to just before the body, the closing body. And this is going to be the last thing we're going to actually add to it. There will be stuff that's going to go above this, but this will be the last item in here. We're going to call it class footer. Footer. And we're going to put some information in here. Let's put a paragraph tag, and we're going to say copyright dash all rights reserved. Again, one thing you could also do is maybe have it link back to your website that you have so that you get credit for the development of it, whatever you want. Again, we'll get into that maybe later. But for now, we got a class footer. We got a paragraph set up inside of that. And so now we're going to go and sort of tweak this to make it locked in at the bottom so it looks good. We'll save that, Command S or Control S, go to Style Sheet. Let's go down to the very bottom after Hero Title here. And I just scrolled down because we had just done nav. We're going back down to the bottom. And we're going to put dot footer, not fodder, footer. Oh my goodness, I can't spell today. And a curly bracket. Okay. And so what we're going to do with that, and if I save it, you're not going to see anything. Well, actually, you will see it. It's going to be right here. But that's not where we want it. We want it down at the bottom. We want it centered. We want it to always be there. So think of it as like a sandwich. We got the nav and we got the footer and the content sandwiched in between the two. And so here's what we'll do. We will set bottom to 0, meaning we want it right at the bottom. We want our left at 0 because we want it to start at the left edge. We're going to set the width to 100%. And again, you don't necessarily have to do this, but this is just to make sure it knows to fill the page. And the height, let's start at 50 pixels. We'll go from there. Let's give it a background color of maybe... well, let's go with my favorite. We'll go with black, but we're going to do the 70% black. By the way, you could just put in a number here and then just go in here and set it to whatever you want. So I'm going to put 7. And we'll save that. And you'll see that put that text in a block. It looks really bad, like really bad. And you'll notice that it is, oh yeah, okay, so it's in there. But it looks horrible. It looks absolutely horrible. So this isn't going to work yet. So we got to fix a couple things. We're going to first of all change it so that the text is aligned to the center of the block. So we're going to go align content center. Save that. That'll push it to the middle. It'll also move the block up, which is great. We also want it to be locked to the bottom, and you might remember this from the last time. Because the block is by default set to static, it doesn't care what we set here. So we have to change the position to either absolute or fixed. I'm going to go fixed. I like fixed because it stays locked. Save it. Boom. Now it's moved it down to the bottom. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to make this text sort of like white and centered because right now it looks really bad. So let's do that. We're going to have to do that in a separate section here. We're going to go after this. We're going to go dot footer. Oh man, I made the same mistake earlier. And we're going to affect the P tag, which is the paragraph. And we're going to go text align is going to be centered, which is going to put it in the middle of the page. The color of the font is going to be white so that the text color changes. And the size of the font, which I haven't shown you yet, but font size is going to be, in this case, 12 pixels. We can put any number we want, but that'll change the size of that font. And now that I'm looking at it, I feel like the height is a little high. So let's change the height to a smaller number, like 30 or something small, and save that. That looks really good. Okay, maybe a little bit more, maybe 35, so it's a little better centered. I don't know. But now, if you see how quick that was, now that you know a little bit about CSS, when I move this block, that is going to stay locked at the bottom of the page. It's going to sandwich in the content. You see it's got that transparency. It looks great. And that is going to stay locked in all the time. So as you can tell, what it was at 5 minutes, we made a footer, no problem. And we can save that and continue on. We're going to start building the center sections, all right? So save what you got and carry on with me in the next one.